How y'all doing tonight? Sorry I didn't get the video up last night. I was working later than expected, so I ended up doing it tonight. I did want to get a video of it done though. This is the red 2x2 here. Get a little zoom in and talk about it some here. There we go. This is the 14500 bottom feeder Evercool, done in the transparent red. The person that I had made for wanted it with the galvanized aluminum drip well and the polished plated button. The plated button has a nice, good response to it, just like the horn switch. It has that nice, good, quick, tactile feel to it, which is very nice. There's a few specialized things about this mod that he wanted, though, and we'll talk about some of those. One of the main ones that was pretty much a necessity to him was this little switch right here. And we'll talk about what this little switch does. Alright, the thing this switch does, this micro switch actually runs between the LCD display. In the middle position, it doesn't do anything when you push the button. And when you put it on the other side, you have an LED. So that way, when of course you have a bottle in here and it's covered up, it lights that bottle up. But some people, you know, if you're wanting to vape in the theater or, you know, dinner and you don't want it to be bright, you just set it to that middle one and it still works, but you just don't have that bright LED and you don't have the display going. Of course, it works very well. One of the things I've done with most of mine is most of my displays, when I have them, that display is just always on. And the reason is because of all the wiring involved and having one that has it where you're able to turn it on and off. And I will show you some of that wiring, which is one of the reasons this was one of the more difficult to do, but did turn out very nicely. Now, you can see all of the wires up in there. Several of them run to the display, and several of them actually run underneath. All of those little red wires you see are actually for the switching display LED switch here. But it did get it done, and it turned out very nicely, and it all works very well. But I did want to get you a little look at what the unit looks like all together here. As always, the switch, there's an on-off switch in there, and the on-off switch sits at the top, so that way it's one-handed use. You know, you can flip it on and then push the button and you're good to go. As with almost all of my 2x2s, there's a small adjustment. It sits slightly above flush. The reason for that is anybody with a fingernail or coin or anything sharp, you can change that without having to have a screwdriver. You can actually change it just with your finger. Just don't push too hard, just turn it like that, and you're just fine. As always, it goes between 3.4 volts and 6.1 volts. I usually keep it at about 4.6. I haven't had any problems with it. I've used it several times just to make sure you can use it with everything. This is just a normal little atomizer, so that way if you want to feed it, you can. One of the other things that was requested of him was if he wanted to use anything wider, like a tank or something of that nature. What you can do is take a little tank here, and you have your little shorty adapter, your little 510 shorty adapter. All you do is throw that on there like that, and you screw it in here like this. the button's still shallow enough that it doesn't actually get in the way of it at all. And it works just fine. There are some adapters that are just slightly shorter, so you might actually be able to close that back gap a little bit better. But as you can tell, I tried pretty much to make sure that the top of this button was perfectly flush with the top of that connector, that drip well, so that way if anything happened, if you wanted something that ran as flush as you could, pretty much could do that while still being able to push the button. Yeah, the guy was pretty specific, and it just kind of fell through for him. I understand his reasons, but point being, it still needs to. I have a fair good collection of my own, and I don't need another one. And with the amount I put into it, I do need to get it pushed back on out the door. If anyone's interested, just let me know. I want to make sure everyone got to see what it looks like. Another thing about it, you can actually change this switch. Now you do have to open the gate, like you do have to take this thing off, but you don't actually have to take the bottle or anything out. It's just right down here. You can change all that, whatever you want to change it to. I mean, if you just wanted to switch it over to LED, that's all you have to do is pop that open. I thought about trying to have it outside, like at the bottom here, but I like being able to have this the way it works, you know. I wanted it so that way when you have it all the way closed, it just sits on a flat surface, and it actually sits perfectly flat. If you have any buttons or anything on the bottom, you know, that's going to get messed up when you keep setting it down and stuff. But that way you can just switch to LED if you wanted to. The funny thing is, I bought him a little gift to go with it, with his personalized thing. I bought him one of these little Ming drip tips that is pretty nifty. I mean, I color matched it, and it looks really nice. The drip tip itself is also actually see-through, and it fits the color really well. But I guess presents be damned. But yeah, that's about it. Thank you guys. Sorry I haven't been on the forums a lot lately. I've been really busy, and I've been trying to do a little work on my own. As you can tell here, I'll steal the camera. My workbench is kind of loaded up at the moment, but that's just how it goes. Either way, it's good to hear from you guys, and I'll talk to everybody on there.